Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Pearl of the Pacific. Today is Sunday, September 11th, and this is episode 130. Hello everyone and welcome back. I am back after a week. Yay! Yeah, it's been a pretty normal week, which has been great. And I have a few things to show, so let's jump right in. We'll start with Blow the Conch Shell. The only announcement that I have is the kit that I announced last week that I'm doing with Stephanie of One Twisted Tree and Stephanie of The Rested Stitch and Danie of One Twisted Tree. Sorry. Stephanie makes bags and Danie dyes yarn, and both of them are beautiful, and I was the lucky one who got to design a shawl to go along with those two, and that will be released on September 24th, which is in 2 weeks. So I found some wooded areas yesterday, and my husband and I went and took some pictures. So I posted one of them on Instagram like a few moments ago, so you can go check that out. And yeah, so that's very exciting. I've been working on the pattern. The test knitters are all done, and yeah, I need to check on a few things and get the pictures in and everything set, and that will be ready to be released soon. So that's exciting. So this is the announcement. It will be available on Danie's website, which is onetwistedtree.com, and I'll put links to that and stuff in the show notes. So the only announcement I have, yeah, let's jump right into On the Needles, I guess, is the next thing. On the needles, I have a pair of socks. Big surprise. It's actually the only thing I have on the needles. I've kind of been keeping things really simple right now, just until I figure out what I'm taking with me on my trip. So the next thing that I had lined up was this pair of socks that is out of the GnomeAcres Yarnaburger mini set. At least some of it is. And it came with, let's see, I think I've got most of them here. This is what it came with. Some of them are kind of all over the place now. Ah! Just lost the bun. Alright, so it comes with a bun and the burger, which you can see I've already knit into the socks, and cheese and pickles and ketchup and mustard, and an extra that I got was bacon, because I love bacon on my burgers. So I've been using those. I also, because I wanted to knit socks and I knew that the bun wasn't going to be enough for heels and toes, so I conveniently had this mini skein that I think I got from Jessica, who I hung out with last weekend. And when I met her at Stitches, not this Stitches, I think it's the Stitches before. Anyway, it was very close. It's definitely a different base, but it's very close in color, and so I used that for the toes so far. And also, I really like lettuce on my burgers. I often get them without the bun because I can't have gluten. So I get them without the bun, and conveniently, I had a skein of Malabrigo sock in the lettuce colorway. So I threw that in as well. Also, just to make the socks long enough to go over my feet. They're going to be shorty socks because that's all I have. So this is the mini skein that I have. This was the lettuce. Then I did ketchup and mustard. I often get barbecue sauce on mine. Then there's the burger, of course, the all-important burger. Then pickles, which I also really love. And then bacon, which I've just started on this sock. This sock doesn't have the bacon yet. And then I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do cheese next, which I don't normally get cheese because I'm lactose intolerant, but I think I'm going to have to do it to get it long enough to go over my foot, and then I'll turn the heel and do a short little cuff with this. or I might do the cuff with this, the bun. We'll find out. I also may save this to put in my blanket, so we'll see if I end up using it or not. Yeah, so I'm very, very excited about my burger socks. I couldn't find these. I meant to take these with me last week when I went to go meet up with Jessica, but I couldn't find it, and finally I found it. It was just lying on a pile somewhere that it was very obvious. I just didn't look there. So I found these, which was good. I was like, no, I lost my minis. No, they were just hiding. So these will probably get done today. And yeah, so those are coming along, but I've got all these little balls. And let me put the balls in the bag. I've got my GnomeAcres bag to put them all in. And what I ended up doing, which I did also on my Avengers socks that I'll show you, is so I did my normal toe with my toe up stuff and knit in that end on the first row so you don't have to weave it in at the end. And then on the seam here on this side, I knit with the two yarns together for when I change colors for 5 stitches. And that way I don't have to weave any ends in except for the end that I bind off with at the end, which is great, let me tell you, especially if you're doing socks with minis like this. And you can barely tell, I mean, some of them you can tell more than others. With the autofocus off, you're not really going to see that, but you can barely tell where the change happens. I mean, I need to like tighten up a few of these, but you can barely tell. It's just as good as when self-striping changes colors, which, I mean, most dyers are really good, and it's like 2 stitches where they're overlapping and then it's switched. So I don't really notice it at all, and it's really easy and saves time at the end because you don't have to weave in a bazillion ends. Let me tell you, if you're going to do socks with mini skeins, that's the way to go. Yep. Or any project with mini skeins. Really, you just kind of knit them together as you go, and then you don't have to weave them in at the ends. They're already woven in. I mean, you might want to weave them in just as like extra security, but it saves most of the weaving in time. So that's what I have on the needles. Yeah. The other thing that I finished was my Avengers socks out of also GnomeAcres Avengers minis. So these I finished. I think I had started them last week. I'm not sure where they were at. But I did the same thing with them, except I wove in, or I did the kind of beginning of the round at the back of the leg, or on the bottom of the foot. So that's what it looks like. Here, if I put it close to my face, because the camera's focusing on my face, so if I put it right next to my face, it'll focus on it. But you can kind of tell where they changed colors, but not that much. I mean, like that one's poking out a little bit. I think on one of them, one of the ends poked out because I trimmed it before I blocked it. Bad idea. Trim after you block, always. I usually weave them in before I block and then trim after I block. That's kind of general rule of thumb. Although with a couple of my shawls, I blocked them and then wove them in, which is kind of nice, especially if then you kind of know where to hide it. Yeah. So that's how I did these. And you can, and I carried the gray up because I did a few rows of gray in between each of the Avengers. And so I just carried it up the back, and that was super simple. And then just knit with them together as I was starting a color and ending a color, and it was perfect. So those are done. This is the Age of Ultron Avengers. So you've got Ultron, the twins, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, then you've got Hawkeye, Black Widow, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. So those are all the Avengers in my socks, and I love them. And I did 14 rows of each mini and 3 rows of the gray in between. And then, yeah, and that pretty much used all of the mini. So I was able to get like 28 rows out of it, you know, on both socks. And I did 60 stitches on each sock because 60 stitches with size 0 seems to work well with my feet, I've learned. I have tiny little feet apparently, or I started knitting looser because I used to do 64. Now I do 60 on size 0s, and that works for my foot, so I was able to get 14 rows out of each one. And yeah, here's one of the ends that started poking out, so I'll have to pull that back in. The hazards of, probably can't see it because it's dark on dark, but the hazards of clipping the ends before you block them. These are done. Very exciting. Too bad there isn't an Avengers movie coming out in the near future I can wear them, but the next one I will wear them to it because they're super fun. The other thing that I finished was the Amulet shawl. You saw it last week, but it hadn't been blocked. So I thought I would show it to you blocked. And I also took some pictures of this yesterday while we were out taking pictures. And it blocked very large. I knit it on, I think, a size 6. So it's very airy. And I love it. It's huge, which I love. I love big shawls. So I was very excited about this as a 2-skein large shawl. So yeah, so that's done and blocked and ready to go in the basket for fall. Because fall is apparently coming. It's actually cooling down this week, which is kind of nice. I really like summer, but it was getting a little warm and humid. It was really humid. Last week was really humid. Sometimes we just run the air conditioner for the humidity and not necessarily the heat. Because it's like, well, it's not that hot, but it's like 85% humidity outside. It's crazy. So those are the 2 things I finished. Well, one I actually finished and one I just blocked. And yeah, I think that's kind of it for this week. It was, oops, sorry. I'm trying to get my computer onto my lap with my show notes to check. But mostly it was knitting on these, which if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen my progress. Because I tried to post pictures like as I added things in. I haven't posted the finished ones yet because I haven't had a chance to take a picture. So those are the thing I forgot to mention last week that I finished was the baby sweater for my cousin's baby. And I did the Baby Sophisticate by Linden down. And it was out of Linden Fiber Arts, Sun Valley Fibers, and Dragonfly Fibers. And yeah, it was blue, red, and gray, like dark gray. It's actually, I think, very similar to this gray. And that was the Sun Valley Fibers. The red was Linden Fiber Arts, and the blue was Dragonfly Fibers. I didn't actually get a picture of it, but I managed to finish it and sew the buttons on and give it to my cousin. And she was very, very excited. It was really cute. So I got to meet her 2 little boys, which was really awesome. And yeah, so I made it big because he just turned a month old. Okay, maybe he's 2 months old now because he was born in July, August, September. Yeah, so he just turned 2 months old. And so I knit it big so that he could wear it this fall and winter. They live in California, so it doesn't get super cold, but she was very excited. She's like, I'm already planning an outfit with like cute little jeans and, you know, button-up shirt. It's going to be really cute. So she said she'd send me a picture when he's wearing it. So I'm very, very excited about that. And yeah, I just forgot to talk about it last week because I didn't have it with me, but I had it on my list. So that's it for Set Sail. Nothing from the mainland this week, but I did have an Under the Coconut Tree question for you. Since I am traveling to Hawaii next week, I wanted to know, what do you want to know about Hawaii? I opened up a thread in the Ravelry group where you can post your questions. I know a couple people have already done that, so thank you. And I will answer those when I'm there, either like through film or pictures on Instagram or something. I just want to know what you guys want to know, because I'm going to share the exciting things that I think are exciting, but I want to know what you guys want to know. Yeah, so I think that's it. It's kind of short this week, but all I really knit on were those 2 pairs of socks and blocked a shawl and took some pictures of a shawl. We had a slight mishap with some burrs, which was little devastating, but we seem to have gotten most of them out. I realized that from now on, I'm just going to do modeled shots and not actually put the shawl down on anything. I checked the area and it looked totally fine, and then as soon as I picked up the shawl, it was covered. So I don't know where on earth they came from, but all of a sudden it was just covered in burrs. So we must have spent like half an hour to 45 minutes just picking burrs out. So there's still some burrs on it, but we managed to get a couple more shots today of the shawl, and just didn't do a close-up of the bird areas. So I'm going to see if I can get them out. I don't know how I'm going to do it. So if anyone has any suggestions on how to get burrs out of knitwear, that would be awesome. The problem was, like, picking a whole burr off was fine, but then they broke into tiny little pieces, and now there's just like pieces of burr just like spread over areas of the shawl, and it's kind of annoying. So if anyone has any suggestions, that would be great and much appreciated. But I think we got most of it out for now, so that's good. But I think that's it for this week. Next week I will be in California with my brother, and then the week after that I will be in Hawaii. So I look forward to talking to you all soon. And yeah, follow me on Instagram for pictures, and hopefully I'm going to do my first Instagram story. I haven't actually dove into that yet. And yeah, I'll show you what I'm planning to take with me for knitting and such, and because I know people are interested in what you take on a trip for knitting, and it's going to be a long trip with a lot of flying. So I'm going to take a combination of books and knitting so that I can kind of break it up. I also sleep well on planes, so there's going to be a lot of that too, especially since one of them's an overnight. Plus we have a lot of layovers. I don't know what it is about flights. Like, there's no easy way to get to Hawaii, so I'm going to fly through a lot of different states on my way there. But that's okay. I'll get there and it'll be glorious. So until next week, I hope you all have a great time and happy knitting and happy enjoying the very end of summer, beginning of fall. All right, bye.